Does this lore even make sense? What are we talking about here? We're talking about midnight lore? Some other lore? I don't know. Does any of it make sense right now? That's a good question. We're getting into some really weird shit with the Void and everything and how that's all going down. Let's see what Platinum WoW has to say about how this lore doesn't even make sense. Is that Vengeance Demon Hunter there? Okay, Devourer, I should say. Let's get into this video.
Does Devourer lore even make sense? Well, it's complicated. The new Demon Hunter specialization, introduced in Midnight, might contain some of Blizzard's best world building in years, and some of its most confusing. Because when you dig into Devourer lore, you'll find parts that are genuinely brilliant, while other parts seem to be built on assumptions and implications, rather than, actual lore being added to the game. But first, I have something to tantalize your gamer taste buds.
How many of you guys
we haven't seen in game before?
How many of you guys have actually made? How many of you have actually made Devour Demon Hunters? I haven't played through the quest line. I really don't know. Like right now, Platinum WoW's gonna have to explain the storyline to me because I don't fully understand it. All I know is that there's these voidy demon hunters and they embrace the void, and that's how that's all working right now. But other than that, I have not gone through the quest line itself. I made it when it came out. I think a lot of people did. I mean, they're one of the more played classes. I think they're like 4th most played right now in terms of specs. So I know there's people out there playing them. Will cut my dick off, Sam is online. That's right. I wouldn't do the first part, but the second part is true. I am online. So, yeah, I mean, a few people have. Obviously, people have made them. Like I said, I think they're the 4th most played specs. So I don't know anything about the lore. I'm interested to see what the hell Platinum WoW's talking about here.
Dorothy and Toto, and they're coming to raid Shadow Legends.
Oh.
Yes, I'm serious. Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz is coming to the game, and I'll tell you how to unlock this exclusive bonus. In the new Echoes of Oz event, you'll also encounter twisted versions of familiar characters, including the Scarecrow, Tin Woodman, and my personal favorite, the Cowardly Lion. You can claim the legendary champion Dorothy Gale for free by logging in for 7 days during the Dorothy Gale chase, and if you keep logging in for another 7 days, you can earn additional gear and upgrades for her. During this event, you can also take on the dungeon boss Azilda the Wicked and earn the Chronophage gear and other valuable rewards. If you've never played Raid, you can click the link in the description or scan my QR code to receive 3 free legendary champions and 1 free epic champion. You'll instantly unlock Narma the Returned, who has some wonderful assets for your party.
Yeah.
And then you can choose from Alice the Wanderer with code GetAlice, Cheshire Cat with the code KittyCut, Pelops the Victor with code SuperVictory, or Grand Oak Padring with code Wrath. But let's be honest, you should pick the Cheshire Cat because just look at that face. Reach level 15 and you can unlock the epic champion Chonaru, who has 2 badass swords.
She does.
As you've seen, I think the character
Fucking
designs
Raid,
are
man. How much do they pay for this shit?
They keep adding new and engaging content. Click the link or scan the QR code. It's a great way to kickstart your journey and help support the channel. And you can join me. My in-game name is Platinum Wowza, and my clan, the Platinum Pals, would love to have you. Thank you, Raid, for sponsoring today's video.
All right, let's get into it.
Our story begins during the last patch of the War Within. Here we find a Void Elf named Leona Darkstrider, who is pursuing a radical new idea and is working with Adorus Duskblade and Illidari. In exchange for infusing him with the Void, the Demon Hunter promises to share Illidari knowledge on how they're able to harness an immense amount of magic within themselves.
Sure.
Once players help gather the components, the two conduct the ritual.
I mean, overall, the premise of Void Demon Hunter makes sense to me because, like, a Demon Hunter, it makes sense that they would do that kind of shit. Demon Hunters are the type of people like, yeah, I will embrace your power and then use it against you. And that's what they did with the Fel, so it makes sense to me that they would do the same with the Void.
Goes horribly wrong. Instantly, Adorus is consumed by the Void, his mind flooded with maddening whispers and infinite possibilities, showing him endless realities where he can save everyone, avenge every loss, and become infinitely powerful.
Right.
And Adorus, the demon hunter that he is, tries to force his will upon the Whispers. The Void cannot be conquered, and surrendering yourself to these Whispers only leads to madness. Okay, well, he did exactly what you're not supposed to do. So what is he, stupid? No, he's just a demon hunter.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In order to become a demon hunter, you must consume the soul of a demon, filling yourself with an immense amount of fell energy. It is
Right.
then a constant battle of wills between the hunter and the demon within. Basically, a duel of willpower to see who will consume the other.
I mean, you gotta understand, demon hunters are pretty mentally powerful. I mean, we had like the protector of the world. You know, you had Medivh, who was granted like he was a protector of the world, like the prophet. He fell to fell corruption, right? I mean, eventually the fell got to his mind. You had the whole opening of the gate, the orcs coming in, all that shit happened because Medivh's mind was being played with and corrupted the entire time by the fell. And then you got the demon hunters who have embraced that corruption and somehow fight it off and still maintain like, you know, some level of mental sanity. I mean, at the end of the day, they're running around in assless leather chaps, without shirts and shit, dual wielding and have glowing tattoos. So mentality and the mental state, it's questionable, but they still at least have the ability to think and do shit.
Wielding
Unlike
the
the people
void
who
is a
play them.
much more meditative experience.
Every impulse must be held in check. The whispers do not control us.
When conjuring the void, you are assaulted by maddening whispers and infinite possibilities, and you need to focus on not being swayed by them. With Midnight, the lore behind the Renderai and how they wield the void was expanded upon. In order to resist the temptations of the void, the Renderai sacrifice their sense of self and protect the things they hold dear. For some, the thing that they're trying to protect is their homeland. For others, such as Illyria and Magister Umbric, it stems from the desire to protect those who they care about most.
Right.
These people, ideals, and places serve as emotional anchors, preventing them from being lost in the proverbial sauce of endless possibilities the void promises. But the twist here is that the void typically isolates the users from their anchors. The Void Elves were kicked out of Quel'Thalas, Umbric was separated from Romath because of his void research, and Illyria's use of the void was a constant schism in her relationship with Turalyon and Eretor. So
It was, but it wasn't at the same time. Like, Turalyon and Eretor never really hated on Illyria or, like, pushed her away. It was really the Xal'atath was playing with Illyria's mind the whole time, making her think that that's what was happening. And it was like Illyria self-isolating, basically. You know, typical shit. She's being a bitch. Illyria needs to calm down sometimes. And she was acting like her family hated her when in fact they didn't. They actually wanted to be with her all the time. Turalyon took the whole thing pretty well. You know, this guy is like a light zealot. He's essentially immortal because the light has ingrained itself so much in his DNA. And yet he was still willing to clap Illyria's cheeks, even though she was playing with the void. He still wanted to be around her all the time. So really, nothing got isolated when it came to Illyria. She was just kind of doing it to herself.
So all that is to say,
That shit
controlling
always
fell
bothered
magic and void magic are two entirely different things. So while becoming a demon hunter is all about exerting your will upon the demon inside of you and sacrificing yourself for vengeance, wielding the void is a much more meditative practice that relies on grounding yourself and focusing on why you're sacrificing yourself in the first place. Okay, with that tangent over, let's return to this quest and the war within. After Adderus disappears into the Void Portal, he later becomes one of the bosses in the Manaforge Omega raid, along with a pair of other demon hunters hungry for power. Leona Darkstrider, on the other hand, meets with another Illidari named Allari Soul Eater, and after a painfully short quest line, she deems Leona as adequate to learn the secrets of the Illidari. Later in Midnight, Leona and Allari can be found in the Void Storm, conducting further training. This starts with Allari taking them to Argus and teaching Leona that the Light tried to recruit Illidan to fight back against the Void, and it didn't end well.
My destiny is my
I am my scars, bitch.
So, yeah, the forcible recruitment attempt was a failure. But the Illidari can recognize that the Void is a threat to Azeroth and are willing to teach Void Elves like Leona how to use their tactics. We are then sent to collect Void Goo for Demon Hunter-esque tattoos, the difference being that they're substituted for Void rather than Arcane. Other events happen like Leona disappearing into a Void portal, But by the end of this questline, she kills a Dominar and consumes his essence, completing her transformation into the first ever devourer and vows to train her people to walk in her footsteps.
It makes sense. I mean, but when they become basically demon hunters, they're consuming fel essence. So, I mean, this whole transformation so far makes sense to me.
And we would see this story continue in patches 12.0.5 and 12.0.7. After Xalatath created the Darkwell and disappeared, various Void factions began scrambling to fill the power vacuum she left behind. In gameplay, this manifests as Void incursions appearing across various zones.
Right.
While completing these events, players can obtain a permafrosted keystone from a Dominar, which is immediately concerning. Now, why is a Void creature carrying an artifact once used by the Burning Legion? Players bring the keystone to Decimus and a member of the Illidari, who theorize that a Dominar has taken control of an abandoned Legion world and repurposed it as a base of operations.
Oh,
That world is Val,
Okay.
a frozen planet players previously visited during Legion. This creates the perfect opportunity
I didn't know
for
this
the
lore.
Illidari and the Star Eaters, Leona's newly trained group of devourers, to team up and embark.
And now it makes sense why we went to those places. I should have read these quest lines a little bit more carefully. I was like, why are we going back to Val and Negetal? I get there's some shit going on there, but why was there shit going on there? Okay, now it makes sense.
On a spacefaring mission to Val. But the Illidari and the Star Eaters remain distinct factions. They have their own identities, abilities, and philosophies. They're simply cooperating, because for this particular mission, their goals happen to align. And this is only one part of the lore being developed throughout 12.0.5 and 12.0.7. And I've just gotta say, everything being told here involving Val and the other world, Naigatal, is fantastic.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft's story and world building are at their best when the game focuses on specific races and factions, gives them greater depth, and allows them to meaningfully interact with one another.
Yeah, I agree, because the story goes into depth enough that it actually makes sense. The one problem with the whole uniting of the elf storyline was it was spread so thin and told so fast that it just didn't feel genuine. Like, we had to go quickly and talk to the night elves, and we had to go quickly and talk to the blood elves, and we had to run real quick and grab the void elves too. And oh yeah, the sewer mar guys too. We got to go over there and get those guys. And it was just like so shallow. Every single story in that entire questline was so shallow, and it had to happen so quickly. I don't know why they did it that fast. I feel like you could have taken the entire expansion to unite them. But it happened so quick that at the end, when they just all showed up and threw shit into the sun well, or back then it was the void well or whatever, or the dark well, it just made no sense. It just felt like, oh, this is kind of, after all, it's like decades and centuries and millennia of freaking these guys not getting along. Now they're going to get along just like that. It just kind of didn't feel right. But when Blizzard focuses in on specific races, and here a race/class, that's when the storytelling's actually done right.
We have ethereals and dominar spreading throughout the Great Dark Beyond and repurposing the technology of other civilizations, and both the Lightforged and the Illidari back in the spotlight. But most importantly, the Devourers are finally being given meaningful screen time through the Star Eaters. And they are a great example of how Blizzard can take the basic blueprint of a demon hunter, reframe its purpose, and create something that feels both familiar and entirely new while enriching the wider world building of the Warcraft universe. Okay,
Right.
so now that I've
So far, this
glazed
is
Blizzard
positive.
and I've explained all this lore, get rid of all that, throw it in the trash.
Oh god.
Because player character Devourer Demon Hunters don't follow anything I've just talked about. The Devourer specialization became playable before Leona became the first ever Devourer. The player character also remains visibly corrupted by fel magic. They can still have their glowing green eyes, demonic horns,
Yeah, that seems
wings,
wrong.
and traditional demon hunter metamorphosis form. None of the Devourers we encounter in-game possess any of these demonic traits, except for Leona when she enters metamorphosis form, which makes absolutely zero sense. So, for the sake of my own sanity, I'm just going to assume that this is simply the result of Blizzard just not having the proper art assets. And players
Yeah.
are not even given Devourer-themed customization options
This was
until
the biggest miss of it.
12.0.5. So
This
I
music
guess
slaps.
we're supposed to assume that player characters are just exceptionally special demon hunters who wield both fel and void magic, while remaining completely separate from the two distinct factions that the lore is actively trying to establish. And honestly, I'm not even sure if Demon Hunter is an adequate name for the class anymore. If anything, it should be called Soul Hunter, which was already the name of the encounter with Adaris in Manaforge Omega.
That actually
and
makes
the real
more
problem
sense.
is, I don't even know if Blizzard can fix this. To make the playable specialization accurately reflect the lore, Blizzard would have to restrict which customization options devourers can even use.
Right.
They need to remove the fel-corrupted traits, replace the traditional metamorphosis form, and potentially require players to be Void Elves, which is obviously ridiculous. That's never going to happen. So instead, the player character is left floating in this strange, ephemeral lore limbo.
That would actually be crazy cool if they could transform into Dominars instead of the demonic form that they currently have. Like if their transformation form, their metamorphosis look like this, I think that'd be really cool. I bet a lot more people would actually try them.
Strange, ephemeral lore limbo, where they may or may not be even canon. Because as the story currently exists, the playable Devourer is not merely unexplained, it's actively antithetical to the lore Blizzard has added to the game. So, do Devourers make any sense? Yes. The Star Eaters make sense, Leona makes sense, the way Devourers resist the Void makes sense, and the story being told here is genuinely pretty neat. But with the lore that currently exists, the player character's canonicity is held together almost entirely by assumptions. But I suppose the edgiest class in Warcraft was never going to surrender its badass demon horns for something as trivial as lore accuracy.
True.
I've sacrificed everything. What have you given?
Thank you, Raid, for sponsoring
Typical.
today's video. Don't forget to click the link in the description or the pinned comment to get started.
I didn't even consider the fact that they have horns. Like, they shouldn't have horns. That's a demon thing. But I guess besides the fact, maybe they're just remnants of their old days playing with the Fel. But good video overall. Platinum WoW always puts out bangers. Does the lore make sense? I think, like you said, it does. Up until you get into some of the player mechanics, and then it starts to be like, well, should the player actually be able to do that? Probably not. But overall, I still think the ad of the Void Demon Hunters, Devour Demon Hunters specifically, their name was good. I think it was a good ad to the game, and I think it shows because a lot of people are actually playing them. Nice video overall from Platinum WoW.